hope you're all doing very well. At the tail end already of this week, bloody hell, it's gone quick. But of course, no football to look forward to this weekend. Well, there is football, international football. It's not really the same, is it? I don't know about you. I struggle to build that optimism when it comes to watching England play football. I'm here today to talk about the West Ham ownership situation and what's going on with Hammers United, with the supporters' trust and everything else. And of course, West Ham Way put out a statement. I was on talkSPORT earlier talking about it, so I'm going to talk about that as well. So a few things to get through. But before I do, if you're new to the channel, do subscribe. It takes 2 seconds of your time. It's free as well, completely free to do so, to join us on this journey. And we're doing well. We're doing very well lately. The figures have been fantastic and we're continuing to grow. So I really, really do appreciate your support and everything else. It has been fabulous. So yeah, really do appreciate that. Yeah, so if you can subscribe, really appreciate it. Also hit that like button. Hitting the like button's the big one. That's the big one. So that gets other people involved and it gets picked up on the old algorithm. So yeah, if you could help us out, we really do appreciate it. So I was asked to come on to talkSPORT to talk about the current situation with the ownership more than anything, and the current protests that are planned that are being organised by Hammers United. I did sort of say about it last week that I wanted to make this a big subject this week because, of course, no football, transfer window's closed, so this now comes to the forefront, and it's big. It feels like there's a lot of momentum, doesn't there, at the moment, in regards to the media scrutiny becoming on the football club and on David Sullivan in particular, Karren Brady, and rightly so. And I'll tell you what I'm liking about this. It feels like a shift from what we're used to from the media. I've always found when this subject tends to hit the headlines, which isn't easy in itself, let's get it right. The mainstream media don't tend to look too much at this unless there's big protests going on. But this is getting a lot of attention, which is fabulous. And credit to everyone involved and for everyone that's doing campaigns. All these sort of things, I think it all feeds this. So it's really important. But as I've stressed before, I think it's also really important we all stay aligned, stay together in all of this. But there's definitely a shift in the media attention. And I think that's something that's really getting to the club and the owners. So it's good. We want to keep that going. But before I do that, I just want to show you the clip from my appearance earlier on talkSPORT, and then we can talk about that after and then crack on. So here was me earlier this morning.
22344 is the number to call. Let's speak to Mark, a West Ham fan from the West Ham Way podcast. Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, gents. How are you doing? All right?
We're good, Mark. Gabby's team Villa had a real poor start. West Ham, poor start, but that was a big, big win. It's just a shame, I would imagine, for West Ham fans that international duty and 2 games has come up. You know, you want to keep going now with that enthusiasm and that confidence that victory should have brought.
Yeah, it's typical, isn't it? It's the way of football, unfortunately, you know, especially in the top flight. But look, it is what it is. You know, I'm certainly taking it. We needed it. It was a much welcome win. But I think, to be honest, if you're not over, obviously the result was fantastic, but it was the performance. You know, that's what I think it's breathed some hope into the season. And, you know, I think, you know, we're still, you know, it's a long way to go. Of course, we can't get carried away with it, but it's definitely, it feels like a big moment in our season, and hopefully for Graham Potter as well, because I think he needed that as well more than anyone.
Mark, what about the board then? You know, you want to wipe the slate clean and get someone in with serious money to say, I'll back you to the hilt, because I've already said to Gabby, for me, West Ham's a massive club. Home and away fans are brilliant. Especially away from home, you know, they travel in the thousands. And at home, if things are well, there's nothing wrong with the stadium. It's when things are poor, you know, you seem to be so far away from the pitch. I've been there loads of times. What are the West Ham fans looking for? What sort of change?
Well, I think the reality is what fans would love, let's be honest, would be new ownership. That would be the desire. It has been a long time now with these owners. We've had 15 years now, David Sullivan at the top of the club. So it's not like they haven't had time, you know, to put the club where it needs to be. Now,
where is that, Mark? Where does the club need to be? You've won a European trophy, all right, not Champions League, but where are we talking here? Are you talking about consistently top 6?
To be honest with you, I don't think actually where we are in the table and what we're competing for really is the problem. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't actually think that's the big desire. I think what West Ham fans want to see and have is an ownership that shows the love and compassion and drive to want the club to do well. I think what you're seeing at the moment at West Ham is a model where it's, you know, just about enough. They do just enough just to survive, just to keep us up. I feel like what the model that the club operate in at the moment is, let's just stay in the Premier League. As long as we tick that box, we're pretty much happy. And I know that, like you just said, you won a European trophy, you've had European football. I don't really believe that was really the desire from the football club, though. I felt that the hiring of David Moyes, don't get me wrong, David Moyes is fabulous for West Ham, and I'll always be, eternally grateful to him for what he brought to this football club. But I don't think he was hired on the promise of saying, well, I'll tell you what, we'll bring him in and he'll get us into Europe. They brought David Moyes in because he was available and he was cheap, and it was an option to keep West Ham in the Premier League. It just so happened that we had a brilliant season under him, and it ended up we got Europe,
Mark, do you look at owners like my team, Aston Villa, when they first come in, they says, listen, we don't want to just get into Europe. We don't want to just get into the top four. We want to go and win the Premier League. We want to win the Champions League. Is it more you want more owners that want to win everything and not just survive in the Premier League, finish mid-table, try and get into Europe?
Yeah. I think, you look at the likes of yourselves, look at Nottingham Forest,
Yes.
I know that there's a situation with his, with the ownership at the moment, but regardless of that, that's ambition, and I think once you've got the fans get on board with that, and I think it breathes that belief into the fan base, and you're all united. At the moment, there's just such a huge disconnect between the ownership and the fan base. It's almost like, they use the word customers, which went down terribly, with the fans, and it's things like that. You just think, and to be honest with you, you know what? We talk about ownership, and you think, well, sell the club, but we all know that's not easy. There's not many people lining the streets that are ready to go and buy Premier League clubs. I think what West Ham fans really want, and as effectively a compromise at the moment, is for David Sullivan to resign of his post and bring in someone. Don't be a chairman anymore, just be a major shareholder. Like Man City operate, like Newcastle do. Bring in the best people you can and say, look, you run our club, you make it as where it needs to be. Because let's be honest, I think it's well known in football that we've got an ownership really that aren't the best. It's pretty obvious. So yeah, I think that's where we are as West Ham at the moment.
Mark, keep your chins up.
Yes.
Don't worry about it, mate. Long way to go. It's early doors, but that was a big win, Mark. Big win. Thank you, Mark Carlow, the West Ham Way podcaster. Right, Steve's a West Ham fan. One quick one, Steve.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, guys.
So yeah, there we have it. It was an interesting one. I was pleased to go and do it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity as well. Obviously from talkSPORT and Alan Brazil, and obviously and Gabby and stuff. So yeah, pleased about that. I actually found it to be, as I say, I'm liking what we're getting from the media here. They're certainly honing in on what's happening here, and it's a big story, and it's growing legs, and it was a bit frustrating at times with these things because you don't get a lot of time to talk and what you really want to say. There's so many things I wanted to cover. Obviously, in that short space of time, it's very difficult, and obviously you have to be sort of answering what they're asking you. So there was parts of it that I felt like I wanted to get off my chest and talk about it. But thankfully, I've got a channel to do that, so that's pretty handy. But yeah, so talking about talkSPORT first, and what was said there. I've made my feelings very clear about how I feel about the ownership. I think the vast majority feel this. I feel the vast majority of West Ham fans are really desperate to see change at our club. I feel like it's come to a head. Everything's just we're so exhausted with the way that this football club is being managed and run by our ownership, and this lack of direction, lack of desire, and we're just seeing it's rinse repeat year after year. We've just seen it again in the summer transfer window. Now, look, I know people will say, because I got the comments from the last video I did regarding the sort of summary of the window. I didn't really talk about everything. I'm not majorly disappointed, by the way. I'm not looking at the transfer window and go, God, that was a disaster. Far from it. There's a few players in there I'm really happy with and excited by. But again, it always feels like it's bare minimum for West Ham. It's like we'll just do enough and then we'll leave it at that. We're not going to push. We're not going to go further. And it's not about spending. It's more about like the way that they operate and treat the football club. These David Sullivan, Karren Brady, and all these people have got such a fabulous opportunity in front of them. I mean, what would you and I give, right, to have that sort of capital and be able to be in a position to run West Ham United? I mean, can you imagine what we could do with the football club? And the hunger we would have and the drive to see West Ham get better and better and to invest. If I was a multi-billionaire, I'd be going, right, I want to make this stadium. I want to build a new stadium for West Ham. Or I'd convert this stadium, do everything I can to make it better. I wouldn't have been there in the first place, let's be honest. We would have converted Upton Park, I'm sure. But you get my point. A training ground, Why have we got all billionaires sitting around the table, yet no one ever seems to want to put a pound into this football club? I just don't understand it. The neglect we're feeling at this football club is staggering. We're disillusioned as fans because of it. Years of neglect and years of painful viewing of what we've had to see in terms of how this club operates. Look at the manner in which how we handle business. It's shocking how we treat people, how we treat other clubs, how we treat players, how we treat managers. It's so poor. It's so poor at times. It really is. It can be so frustrating to have to sit back and keep watching this. And we've had 15 years now of David Sullivan. 15 years of it, and it's hard and difficult to continue on this path where we know where it's going. It's the same every year. We are happy with Premier League football. That's it. I made the point about David Moyes. I'll stand by it. I never believed that club. I'd never believed that the club brought in David Moyes to take West Ham forward and take us into European football. It was just luck. It was pure luck. It happened, and I'm grateful for it. I'm not knocking it, but let's not pretend that this was some sort of master plan and desire from the football club. It wasn't. We're seeing it again. It's bare minimum. It's just enough. If we got enough to survive, enough to just to compete, that will do us. We don't want to strive for success, and it's very, very frustrating. We had a magical time in that Conference League win, didn't we? I mean, it was a sensational night for this football club. But let's get it right. It masked a lot of the problems. We had one of the most fabulous nights of our lives as West Ham fans, and I'll forever be grateful for it, right? I'm never, ever going to take that away. I'm forever grateful for that moment. Forever grateful for David Moyes, the players, everyone involved, that we got to see West Ham lift a trophy on the European stage. Look, I'll cherish that to the day I die, like we all will. But we nearly went down that season. West Ham nearly got relegated that year. We were that bad. We were terrible that season. And it's just carried on. We sold Declan Rice. Okay, look, we thought that we'd invested it pretty well with the money. When it first happened, we brought a few players in. But ultimately, again, it was badly managed. Look at how we managed the David Moyes departure. All that time to go and get the right manager in. They go and get Lopetegui on a free. And that alone, for me, that appointment alone just summarises what we've got in terms of our ownership and the desire and the plan, like the lack of planning, the lack of thought, the lack of desire. I mean, it's shocking. I understand it. It was like family members involved helping to pick bloody managers. I mean, it's shocking. What sort of football club operates in that manner? It's terrible. So where are we at the moment? So we've had the statement from Hammers United. Hammers United are planning protests, right? So this is what's really, really important. So originally, I think something was planned for the Tottenham game, but because of the protests in London against the government, another situation that's going on, more protesting, but this time at the government, Hammers United have said, well, we won't do that in the Tottenham game because of that, and because there's going to be West Ham fans going to likely be involved in that other protest in London. So it's deemed not to do anything. So as far as I understand it, the Crystal Palace game, there will be a protest, and the protest is going to be, the fans are going to be meeting the directors as they arrive at the stadium to stand the numbers. Now, we need big numbers here. We're going to need really big numbers because we've got to show the football club. I mean, they're going to be very aware of this. Let's make no mistake. The media attention this is getting is massive. They're not hiding any rocks. They'll be more than aware of the anger and the frustration that's being grown here between West Ham fans and wanting change. So it's not going to be any surprise to them, but still, we need the numbers there. So it's massive that fans are there if you can be there and do agree with all of this, then please do make the effort, because I will certainly be there myself, protesting outside London Stadium ahead of the Crystal Palace game. And then for the next home game, which would be the Brentford at home, it's going to be a boycott, which is big. I mean, this is really quite a lot to ask for fans, and I understand it. It's not easy, but it's needed because you're going to have the Sky cameras there, and we need to show. This is where it's going to really hit the football club big time. This is going to be a massive stamp, you feel, on the the plan to get to the club and to really make them consider their positions here. And I think that if the Sky cameras are there and they're looking around and seeing that the stadium's half empty, hopefully even more so, then that's massive. So yeah, for the Brentford at home game, Hammers United are pushing for a boycott of the game entirely. There was talk about doing it, being late arrivals, things like that, but they just feel like it becomes too muddy. And also you want the Sky cameras to pick up on the situation and be talking about it, because the media will have to talk about it. The commentators will have to talk about it. It's not something they can't just ignore. If the stadium's half empty, what on earth's going on? It's a Premier League game. And let's be honest, London Stadium empty looks bloody empty because of the white seats. It looks even worse. So it's massive that we do that. And they're also planning then every home game is going to be protests to the end of the season. This is fabulous from Hammers United, and there's going to be more. We're going to be talking to them and getting them on and talking a bit more in detail what the plans are. And apparently there are a lot of big plans that are going ahead and what they're going to be doing. So there's far more details to come, but certainly for now, that's big. You've also got the West Ham Fan Supporters Trust, which have now put out a letter of no confidence. They've issued it to the football club, which again is absolutely massive. This follows the survey they've done in the stadium, which was huge in itself because it was just showed the discontent of what we feel for our stadium. And even, we even talked about that. I mean, the shambles that is our football stadium and how embarrassed we are. And again, another showing of how the lack of ambition and lack of drive and desire to want to leave a lasting football club and something we can all be proud of, But yeah, so they've issued a letter of no confidence to the football club, which let's make this straight. That is absolutely huge. That is so big because these are the conduit. These are built up of a few groups, and they talk to the football club regularly. They hold meetings with Karren Brady. They hold meetings with the club. So there is a relationship there. It might not be the best relationship, but it's a relationship. Karren Brady and co will see this as their way that they deal with the supporters. This is how they get things better. And if they're issued a letter of no confidence, that's really big. And obviously, of course, that's gone and hit the mainstream media. Hence why I was, spoken to go on talkSPORT. This is what these things do. It's absolutely huge. And then on top of that, of course, the West Ham Way issued a statement out, which I'm going to read you now. The West Ham Way fully supports Hammers United and the Supporters Trust in regards to the ownership of West Ham United. It is our belief that the club needs change from the very top, with a clear lack of direction and ambition, while other clubs continue to strive and leave West Ham behind. See please below statement from ex-WHU employee even and Dave Walker. You feel I'll be used to that by now, saying that name. I say it enough, but yeah, no, still struggling. At the West Ham Way, we will support any credible challenge / alternative to the current ownership. Hammers United offered a well-organised challenge to them, and we hope that at a bare minimum, avenues that allow fans to voice their concerns have action taken, and as a result, become more readily available as a result of the work Hammers United are doing. There are too many unhappy fans now and to be ignored, and the club need to acknowledge this and start making the people feel like they matter rather than just a customer who can be easily replaced with another. We'll be welcoming Hammers United to our channels and for them to promote their work and gain even further support for some of the audience that we have. So look, this is, as I say, I've said this before, and I don't want to keep beating the drum about this, but obviously because of X and what he does in terms of his insider knowledge of the football club, I think sometimes there's an unfair belief upon him that he's sort of friends with Sullivan or Coots. I can't stress enough that it's just not the case. For a start, X is an agent. He's a football agent, if people don't know that. So he walks and he works within football. He knows so many people in the game. David Sullivan is someone that, yes, he has a contact with, but it is literally, even says to me, he speaks to me, at most, he'll drop him an email maybe once a week just to confirm something. Is this happening? Is this true? I've heard this. That's pretty much the only dialogue they have. So there really is no, I don't ever want anyone to believe that there's some sort of relationship in terms of, oh, can you say this for me or anything like that? That has never, ever been the case. And I think this sort of shows that, the West Ham Way, we try to pride ourselves on being quite measured and calm and try to be diplomatic about things as best as possible and talk things through and try and be as balanced as possible, which is what I feel like we're doing now, to be honest. But it feels like the time has come, doesn't it? It feels like the neglect we've experienced for this football club has been going on for so long. The frustration now is at just an all-time high, the disconnect. And it's just sad more than anything. Even though there is anger there, it's also really sad. I hate to see fans feeling so disconnected from the club that they love and losing that connection and desire to want to go and see West Ham. And I'm feeling it. You know, I've been saying, you know, I speak to my dad. I go to watch the games with my dad and friends and stuff. And the amount of times I've been saying it for the last couple of years, like I just don't even want to be here half the time. Do you know what I mean? I know like, the football doesn't help. The fact that the football's been crap doesn't help. I appreciate that if we were playing well and challenging, I probably would feel a bit different. But I can't disguise the fact that I'm still disappointed of where we are, regardless of playing well. I look around the stadium and just think like this is just so half-assed, and I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with then going to other grounds and seeing other clubs how they operate. Look at Everton. I mean, look at Everton Stadium, you know, and I look at it and think, why can't we do that? Why are we subjected to this? And then not only are we, you know, subjected to this crap in terms of a stadium, but then we've then got to endure the fact that we've got an ownership continue saying how skint we are. Oh, we're so skint. Oh, we've got to sell before we can buy. You know, do me a favour. It's so badly run. And the answer to this is, I mean, this is how I feel at the moment, and I said this in the talkSPORT. I don't think it's necessarily down to the fact like sell up and go right now. Don't get me wrong, I want them to. I want that to happen. But the reality is, asking someone to sell a football club for £900 billion is not going to be like, oh, okay, then well, I'll be gone in a week. We've already been seeing for the last few years wanting change. But how many people have we seen come forward to buy West Ham? No one. So I think the reality is, and the best way forward at this stage is for Sullivan to resign, to get rid of Brady, Sullivan to resign, and bring in fresh people, bring in a chief executive, bring in a director of football. You know, take this club forward, bring in a proper recruitment team, a proper department. You know, let them run the show. Let these people run the football club, and David Sullivan can just sit at the back and just be basically writing the checks and basically like just a shareholder. You know, that's what they need. This is what this football club needs. It needs direction. It needs better management. Yes, that's where we are at the moment. As I say, I'm going to be speaking to Gonzo. I want to try and get him on, have a chat about this and other things about the club as well, which I think would be interesting. Going to be talking to Hammers United and things like that. We are going to get some people on and talk about things in a little bit more detail. But look, I really do appreciate your support and everything. And I've got to say, and the comments I've had from the earlier appearance on talkSPORT was wonderful. Like, social media's been really kind to me. I've got to be honest. So I'm really, really pleased. Thank you for everyone that's made a nice comment towards me. And look, have a good one. We'll catch up a bit later. We've got other stuff to talk about as well this week. And but yeah, here we are. Let's hope now. We've got some momentum here. It does feel like it. And I will see you if I don't speak to you. I'll do more videos. But yeah, Crystal Palace, that's the next one. That's the big first protest. Got to be there. Let's show them what we mean business. Come on, you irons.